with my dude Trace. We with the Oz. We in Emerald City. Out in the boondocks. I don't know where I'm at. This is Batavia, Ohio, I guess.
Stonelick.
Stonelick.
Stonelick
Studios. We in this dope little studio, man.
Little Stonelick action.
You feel me? So it's lit, man. We about to talk. This is how we feel. It's only right with my brother Chase, man. We did it last year with Cincinnati.
So for those of you that don't know, we're here with Khari, who's a Cincinnati rapper. He's got a couple projects under his belt, and we've worked on a lot of stuff for his last album, and then we did an interview for him, and then continued on just doing a lot of stuff, getting pictures, even got to come out and take some photos at his baby shower, which was a good time. Yeah. So why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us what's going on?
Yeah, man, it's Khari, like Trey said, from Cincinnati. A lot going on, but I'm trying to stay grounded through it all, man. I'm a new father, so that's exciting. Project out, just a lot of cool stuff happening though, man, that I'm sure we'll get into. But
so that's definitely exciting, being a new father in the game. How do you think that has influenced you for your music?
Yeah, it just made me put things in perspective, man. I really just found another switch. I always was like a super self-motivated person, good work ethic and all that, but now it's like a whole nother switch that it hit. Is different. I'm more about, I'm looking at it more business like too, you know what I mean? Everything is business, and I want to reciprocate that energy to the people that I work with too. So that's how it's feeling right now.
So the new project, it just came out, about 2 months ago?
Yeah, 2 months. Wow, yeah. End of July, just about.
The times are weird, and it feels just distorted during quarantine and this COVID situation.
It's like 3 years in one.
So the name of it is This Is How We Feel, Act 1, Trapped.
Yeah.
Can you just start off talking about what does the name mean, or why is that what it's named?
It's a lot. I kind of started working on this project when I was like finishing up Cincinnati, so like I was kind of simultaneously working on this, and it developed over the past year and a half. But I really just wanted to touch on something that was, like in my music, I talk about a lot of black plight, my observations of growing up, around drugs, violence, and things like that. But with this one, I wanted to touch on a different layer, and it has a mental aspect to it. You know what I mean? I wanted to put a mental health aspect into it and an emotional aspect into it. So that's why I called it This Is How We Feel, because it's the feelings of black people in America, and just how we processing those feelings, how we going through it, and you know what I mean, and just the mental aspect of it, like I said before, of how it is to be black in America.
So what comes first with making this project? Like, is there an idea for a song, or is there an idea for an entire project? I know there's some themes that we're going to get into, including the idea of the mask, which we're about to talk about here in a second. As you can tell by Khari's shirt, and then the album cover, and then the music video directed by Kevin Garner, Trapped music that came out, all revolve around the idea of the mask. But before we get into the mask, what's the kind of idea creation for the mixtape?
I would say with this one especially, self-reflection went into this a lot. It started out with a lot of self-reflection. I was just at a point where I was feeling a certain type of way just about everything, and I didn't know how to really explain how I felt about certain things, why I felt like this. I never asked myself those questions until sometime last year when I finished up Cincinnati, and I really started getting on the music scene and started interacting with different people. Even started like getting, DMs from people that said they liked my music and how this made them felt, you know what I mean? So I started to see like it was bigger than music, you know what I mean? So it was a lot of self-reflection that went into like before even penning this project. Like I knew I needed to go deeper. I knew I needed to touch on something that was, honest, that was real. And so I just started asking myself questions, you know what I mean? Just started asking myself deep, dark questions that, that we try to avoid as humans, you know what I mean? and why do I feel this way? Why do I act this way? Why do I, you know what I mean? Why do I do certain things?
Yeah, because throughout the album, you talk about how it is tough to explain yourself.
Yeah.
And, how the one line goes, how you explain a feeling.
Exactly.
And how can you come across. And sometimes, like you say, your true feelings and emotions are masked, which brings us back to the mask.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about when that idea came to you
Yeah.
and when you decided to make it the central theme of the album?
Word. So early on in like the writing process, I knew I wanted to have like this theme with the mask, but at first it was brown paper bags, and I was just gonna write like some X's on it. But I talked with me and Kevin, because we were working on a script for everything, like just laying everything out. A script for like music videos and even a feature film for all of this. And he brought up the idea of like a ski mask. And then after that, I was like, yeah, that was perfect, so we just ran with that. And I just started seeing like everything that I was penning was just related to, masking my feelings. And it morphed into this alternate reality that I created within the album, that basically as black people in America, we're forced to, suppress our feelings, conceal them, we don't really process them, whether it's through different avenues, whether it's through systemic racism, whether it's through police brutality, seeing a bunch of trauma, whether it's through, like I said, drugs, violence. We mask that pain and we don't really deal with it, So it's a whole lot of things that the mask represents that if people want to like dive into it, like, they'll be able to figure it out a little bit.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that goes into it. Also just seeing it as how people stick to such stereotypes and are so close-minded about what an individual can do and be depending on their race.
Exactly.
We all know that doesn't dictate your character
Exactly.
and how you treat people and who you truly are.
Word.
So one word that is not used, but really means a lot throughout your music, especially this project, is the word duality. Mm-hmm. Can you really speak on what that means for you?
Man, duality is big, bro. Because I feel like I look at life as a contradiction, a paradox, So it's always two sides to a story, Everything has a good, everything has a bad, but for me, it's like that duality is the balance, Duality is the balance. So even with this project, I try to show like the real side of everything, but I also try to touch on, another perspective, Even speak from someone else's perspective, even talk from someone else's point of view, because that's what makes this world, balance out, the duality. So yeah, man, that's big. That's big.
With your past album, Cincinnati, there's a song on there called The Art of Ignorance.
Yeah, word.
And the way I see it is that in the first album, you told us about the art of ignorance. And in this album, you show how it's used. So can you tell us what the art of ignorance is?
Yeah. Well, when I was writing that, it was really came from a point where it was like, yeah, the stereotype of black people is that we're ignorant. We do this, we do that. But so with that song, I wanted to show, yeah, ignorance is always equated to like this negative thing, when ignorance is literally just you lack knowledge of something. We all ignorant to something, you know what I mean? So that's where that stemmed from, and just playing off of it's an art to it. It's an art to being ignorant, you know what I mean? Like we can paint this picture of this image of ourselves. The society can paint a picture of us, paint an image of us and try to portray this type of image to us. But it always comes down to, lack of knowledge, and like, you just don't know. Like, we all ignorant to something. So that's what I wanted to show with that one.
Because I would say the song that really takes the art of ignorance to the next step is Trapped Music. Because in that you use, you say trapped inside a rap life.
Yeah.
And so the trap here, it's just a great play on words with the trapped music, because you first have the actual trap music,
Right.
a trap, more hood type beat,
Exactly.
which you often use to kind of almost conceal a deeper message.
Absolutely.
And then going on, you have, the trap, that a lot of people are stuck in a trap, whether it be systemic racism or where they live or just the circumstances that they're born into.
Right.
So in the song, you start off talking about, typical things that you might find in your average rapper's lyrics,
Yeah, I was just trying to, be honest about it, because that song is as much a personal story as it is anyone can relate to it, because touching back on that duality again, it's like the duality of rapping and selling drugs, being in a trap, like it's a similar path, you know what I mean? We all racing towards something, and we all want to get rich off rap. We all want to get rich off being a drug dealer, just to buy, money, just to have money, just to have cars, just to have clothes, things like that. So I wanted to touch on that duality aspect, and also tell my personal story. Like, I grew up around a lot of drug dealers, and as I was writing, I was seeing this stuff growing up. Growing up as a young rapper, I was seeing this stuff. Like, I'm seeing my uncles go to jail. I'm seeing my uncles, serve people on the corner and shit like that. So it was like just me trying to tell that story while also being like telling my story within it. Like, I'm how am I any different? I can't say that I'm any better just because I'm making music, because I still want money. I still want nice cars. I want nice clothes. You know what I mean? So we all trapped in this cycle. It's all a cycle. It's all a loop, which is a big theme of the whole project in itself. So,
so obviously through your music, it's as the very central idea is that of storytelling.
Yeah.
What inspired you to get so involved with storytelling? Is it that you grew up reading a lot or something, or partaking in other kind of creative activity, or how did you find that in your life?
I would say it's a mixture of a lot of things, mixture of the music that I grew up listening to, the music that I love listening to, the music that I was introduced. I read a lot as a kid. I always loved, like English class. I always loved writing narrative stories and things like that. So I would say it's a mixture of just the environment I was brought up in. I was brought up in a household where, like, my pops, he played everything like classic that was, back then in the 90s, going into the early 2000s, like play Nas, Pac, Biggie, all the greats. I don't got to list them all, but all the greats that told stories. And that's one thing that I was always instilled in, is like great storytelling. And as I got older, I realized that that's the best way people learn. Whether you if you're trying to shove something down somebody's throat, like preaching to them, like do this, and trying to teach people life lessons, you can't teach people life lessons like that. People learn through stories, through allegory and things like that. So as I got older, I started being conscious of that. But, as a kid, I always, loved stories, big Star Wars head. That's one of the biggest stories, of all time. So, yeah.
So I was going to maybe wait until later to bring up that, but since you just mentioned, stories and allegories, so there at the very end of the album, there's a pretty long story you tell about a woman that's struggling with mental illness.
Yeah.
And, throughout your music, it's very storytelling based, but you often don't stick around too long on a story. What stuck out to you about this particular story that made you want to incorporate it so much into the song?
The biggest thing was that it was personal. You know what I mean? I know the girl personally that I was talking about, and I thought it would, it was tough. It was tough to write. It was a tough verse to write. Even tougher to, have the courage to release it, because what if, how would she feel about that if she knew that I was talking about her? And but I felt I was sensitive with my lyrics, I was also, aware of, what I was trying to say and what the message I was trying to convey to her. Like, you're good. Just because they try to put these labels on you, you're not crazy. You good. Like, and it's always love whenever you decide to, reach back out. Whenever you decide to, things like that. So, I wanted to give that story the justice that it deserved, because the woman that I know she is, and who I grew up with as being a friend, with her in high school. So, yeah.
Is it tough to find the strength to talk about subjects that maybe other artists wouldn't talk about?
Nah, not for me, because I'm in this bubble kind of like, what I know needs to be said, and also making it enjoyable listen, making it fun, thought provoking at the same time. But so it's no pressure really. It's just I'm always trying to find a new way to tell it, a different way to convey it. How can I make this, not boring? How can I make it enjoyable for the listener? That's the only thing I kind of, battle with sometimes and try to figure out through the writing process and the recording process.
Because I think there's a lot of themes that, especially in hip hop, aren't talked about a lot, because on this album, you have quite a bit, you have black masculinity and vulnerability, and talks of gentrification and talks of women in society, and almost kind of an anti-misogynistic view on it, when a lot of hip hop is very misogynistic based, and that brings me to, a couple songs we could talk about. Next I was going to talk about When I'm Gone, which is kind of, more of a love, slower song. And that's a common theme on your projects, is on each album there's at least one that's kind of similar.
Sure.
You have Aphrodite, and then you have Leia's theme, which if you haven't checked out, you really should, because that talks about, if you want to talk about Leia's theme and that a little bit, I'd love to hear about it.
Leia's theme, wow. I wrote that song at least 3 years ago. So those lyrics is like, it's crazy how like the lyrics still, was relevant when I was ready to release it. But that song just really talked about just was being blunt about wanting to have sex with a woman, but also like the damage that can do to a woman, and trying to be respectful in that manner of, I do want sex, like, but at the same time trying to show like a deeper side of it, like another aspect of it. So that's why I called it Think Outside the Box, because I wanted to show that, I wanted to show it from a woman's perspective, like, this is how you need to, it ain't all about this. You need to think outside of sex sometimes. Like, so I was trying to formulate it in an aspect to where like the woman was giving the man some game, schooling him a little bit. So, that's one of my favorite records I've done.
Yeah, I would say it's a personal favorite of mine as well.
Fire.
So, while we're still on that subject, can you talk about When I'm Gone a little bit? And it has one of the few features on the album. So what made you bring on a feature, and then just talk about the structure of the song a little bit?
Yeah, well, I tried to sing the hook, but I couldn't do it. It was terrible.
If we're being honest.
It wasn't terrible, but it was like, I know my guy Chalk T can really bring it to life. And shout out to Chalk T, man. If y'all ain't hip to Chalk T, get hip to him. He got some new music coming. He's dope. Dope R&B singer, man. That's my brother. But so I reached out to him. I was like, yeah, man, can you sing this hook for me? He was like, yeah. He sent it back to me the next day. And I was like, yeah, this is the one. Like, people gonna vibe with this one. And with writing a song, I really wanted to, again, touch on the trapped aspect of the whole theme of the album. And with that one, I was trapped in my feelings for a girl. Like, she don't know throughout that song, if you listen to it, she doesn't know that I have feelings for her. You know what I mean? So this is like early stages.
You're trying to conceal it.
Yeah,
you say,
exactly.
And you say
Exactly.
if maybe this letter, if it even gets to you.
If it even gets to you.
Because it's
Right.
tough for you to get your feelings across.
Exactly.
And that relates back to the mask as well.
Exactly.
And then, going on with the next song, there's a couple of songs that have some strong themes. Is that what you think about first? Is the theme of a song?
It varies, bro. Like I'm random as hell. Like like I think of a hook and like, oh, how can I work this in? Or I think of a theme first. Like I really want to touch on this topic. And I think sometimes it can go either way. Like sometimes that makes for the better song when I think of the theme first. Sometimes if I just play off a couple lines that I thought of, like, yeah, I can really do something with this, but it varies for real.
Because there's a couple songs on here that are very theme centric.
Yeah.
You have If a Tree Falls.
Yeah.
And then you have Pseudobulbar.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with those ideas, and why did you choose to include them?
Yeah. With If a Tree Falls, that was a situation where I had, like, it was a poem at first. It was just random thoughts. I didn't have a beat for it. Didn't even know if I was gonna use it at any point, because I was really just trying to, pen some. I do a lot of free writing when I have writer's block, and sometimes something comes out of it, sometimes it don't. In this situation, it did. But when I linked up with Sal Dolly, shout out to Sal Dolly, he produced majority of the album with trap music, Pseudobulbar, work with High Tech and all that. But when I heard the beat from him, I was like, I just got into this vibe, and I instantly pulled out my phone and started rapping those lyrics, and it magically went. It was like divine, bro. It was like, I'm like, yeah, this has to be. And I was like, this is the intro. I knew it at that point, like, this is the intro for the project. And so I just went in on that and then got the hook going, did a little melody with the hook, and it just all turned out good, man. That track is probably my favorite, my personal favorite that I did on the album. So.
Which one?
If a Tree Falls? Yeah, If a Tree Falls.
Yeah, that is a very strong message there. And then with Pseudobulbar, what is that for people that may have not heard of it?
So Pseudobulbar is a condition where you laugh, like you have uncontrollable laughter at the wrong times, and like even if you're like sad, you will just start laughing. I think they said like the Joker movie was based off the condition, and so yeah.
I also believe in the hit film Parasite. That's what the character has, and because there's tragic events going on throughout, and he keeps laughing. Because that's
I
also,
didn't even peep that.
It's also kind of played into there.
Yeah.
Shout out to them and what they're doing with those films.
Yeah.
Also in Pseudobulbar, there's a couple basketball references.
Right.
We know you used to play, and you enjoy basketball.
Yeah.
What makes you want to come up with such creative basketball bars?
Bro, I think basketball bars are just dope. Bro, like, I have so many like sports bars, no pun intended, but just in the vault, like, I can't wait to use this. But
hey, that'd be a great theme for in the future.
Right,
make
sports
a
bar.
Show, Kyrie's Sports Bar.
That's fire.
But
That's
it's
fire.
Just sports bars,
right?
Yeah.
Giving out shots and whatnot. Yeah, that's lit. That's lit. But yeah, bro, like I love making those type of metaphors and similes.
One of my favorite ones is on that song, and it's the D Wade reference.
Yeah, D Wade.
I thought that one just plays in a lot of ways,
Yeah. Doubleentendre.
Because I don't know how long do you spend on a bar? Because you have some pretty intricate word plays and metaphors. Like, how long are you sometimes thinking about trying to make this sound as good as it can? Finding it's like a puzzle,
Yeah, it varies, bro. Like, it might come to me just instantly, like out of nowhere. Sometimes I spend about I don't know, like I said, it varies, bro. It take me days sometimes, like, to come up. But with bars, with metaphors, and like saying slick things, I got to a point to where it's like I can just kind of like run them off like easily. But so I try to like spend more time on my concepts now. But I'll just be driving and think of something and have to like hurry up and write it on my phone before I forget it, because like I'm like, oh yeah, that's fire. That's
or even just because there's you love the idea of duality and then paradox, you know, and then, I mean, because there's a lot of things, you know, that probably take time to think about. I mean, towards the end of the album, there's a couple just paradoxes. You list off, you know, a mother crying while watching her baby sleep, a depressed artist that goes and performs but is still just upset with where he's at in life.
Right.
You know, a homeless man that is very happy and it's joy. He's smiling.
Exactly.
And then, you know, there's a hook throughout of smiling through the pain.
Exactly.
So what made you want to use those examples and the idea of smiling through the pain, especially in a you know, difficult time for a lot of people throughout the world and America?
Yeah, word, bro. It was like, again, it was that duality, like you said, and like also the personal experience aspect. You know, these are interactions that I had. Like, I've been to shows and I seen artists hop on the stage and, like, you know, give it they all, and then hop on Twitter and just like, and be like super just still, you know, depressed, like, you know what I mean, venting to the world about how they ain't where they need to be, or like even just talking with myself, like, you know what I mean, like, man, I'm doing all this work, I'm putting in all this work, I'm at these shows, I'm doing these, you know, I'm doing certain things, I'm putting myself in good positions, but I still feel like I'm nowhere near where I need to be. And it's just showing that, you know, even through, like, a person could be going through the best, you never know, like, you never know what people going through behind closed doors. Even with a homeless man, we look at a homeless man like, you know, like he has his life can't be good. You know what I mean? He doesn't have money. He doesn't have a means. You know what I mean? But for all we know, he could be happy. And we know about, we worked on a Rich Man Poor Man on my
classic song right there.
Yeah.
First time I ever got to meet Khari working on a Rich Man Poor Man. So
word.
That's a throwback right there.
Yeah. So we touched on that and like, so that line kind of, you know, summarizes that song. So yeah, man.
So one song I could really talk a lot about that I'm very interested in is Roots. And I don't know if it was some kind of live stream you had or something, but you might have said that it would just quickly came together.
Oh yeah, bro. I wrote it in like 5 minutes. And it was like, shout out to ZG. He produced Young and Black on Cincinnati. He produced When I'm Gone as well. But he sent me the beat. I had the beat for a while. He sent me like a pack of beats, and I just went back into that folder and played that beat. I'm like, how did I not realize this beat was this hard?
Because it's a banger.
I
played it earlier, and TP was like, "This is a banger right here." So
yeah, shout out.
Well, didn't I say to run it back right? Was that the one?
Yeah, he said restart this. He said restart this. It's a banger.
Fire, bro.
He said turn it up too.
Yeah, man, appreciate it, dog. Cause like,
I think I technically told Alexa to turn it up.
Fire, drop the bomb on it then.
Dropped a bomb on it. So the way I see Roots is I almost see it as a Spike Lee movie put into a song.
Man,
what are your thoughts on that?
Bro, that's crazy you said that. Cause now I can't wait for you to see the video. Cause yeah, the video got that element to it. We definitely took some notes from Spike on that. But yeah, it was like when I heard it, I'm like, I know I need to go crazy on this beat, but how can I, like you said, how can I touch on something else with it? But the hook came to me first. I wrote the hook real fast. I'm like, oh yeah, money make me feel some way. Like I just started singing that hook, and then after I realized like, okay, this is gonna be about money. I didn't know I was gonna call it Roots at that moment. I was like, it's gonna be about money, so let's just go in about money. And I'm a slave to how am I a slave to money? And I just started, just running off these bars, and I'm like, man, like, and I looked up, it was like 5, 6, 7 minutes that passed. I'm like, damn. Like, it was like really like just an out of body experience. With
it's
track,
kind of
bro.
like, so there's that song Modern Slavery on Huncho Jack Huncho with Quavo and Travis Scott. And that's just like the bare bones. It's kind of like what they thought they wanted to make. Right. Roots is like that to infinity, bro. Like, I'm telling you, even though you may have made it quickly, there's some great themes on there that, I mean, like I said, remind me of a Spike Lee movie, especially Do the Right Thing, you know, because there is that one line about chasing money in the Nike Airs, but still having dreams and nightmares, you know, and that's a big theme in Do the Right Thing is because it also addresses, you know, capitalism, and then the root of, you know, a lot of wealth in America is built on slavery back in the day.
Right, and that's
and
the
then double entendre, and then the connection with the roots as well. You know, also talking about one of the most famous and iconic TV shows and film projects of all time that you know, talks really about the roots of slavery. And it's just very interesting about, you know, because modern day slavery and capitalism, and I mean, there's a lot discussed in there. So where did you come up with all this so quickly?
Man, bro, I can't even tell you, bro. Like, that moment was just, it was just a, you know, like I said, an out of body experience. And I always said, like, I mentioned it before in my lyrics, like, you know, how I'm still how all of us are still slaves to something, you know what I mean? We all still, you know, relying on something, we're longing for something. And with roots, it was just the money aspect. And so I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be
consumer culture too. You know, you talk about the line with "Drip me down in some Louis and some Gucci, got me feeling like a new me." Right, exactly. You know, and that also going back to the whole idea of the mask and this idea that rappers are supposed to portray a certain image. You know, often depicting, you know, wearing these designer brands, and you take all of these concepts and just kind of flip them on their head of typical stereotypes. Right, bro. Yeah. So then going on, you know, we have the song The Riddle. And are people solving the riddle? Or are people picking up on the riddle?
Yeah, man. Yeah, a lot. I mean, I think everyone pretty much picked up on it by the end of the song. Like, you know, you get the gist of what's going on. I had a few people reach out to me and was like, yo, like, that's my favorite track. And I'm like, dang, I ain't even, you know what I mean? I knew the track was solid. You know, I knew it was good enough to be on a project, but a lot of people been really
shout out to my quick shout out to my roommate Marty. He says that's his favorite song on the project.
Fire,
other than Trapped Music. Trapped Music is just, you know, a song you can just keep bumping, you know, like it's a banger for sure. So one kind of relatable topic, well, we'll get into that later. So, but yeah, the riddle is a very strong idea to talk about right now, especially, you know, we were just having these riots the last couple months in Cincinnati, especially taking place in Over the Rhine, which we all know is a hotbed of gentrification over the last 5 to 10 years, kicking out business owners and people in their communities, you know, tearing down the basketball courts, building dog parks, and even going back in to more of the history of Cincinnati in the building of I-75 and the breaking up of tens of thousands of black members of Cincinnati. Why is the riddle such an important topic to be discussing?
It puts the lens, it shines the light on exactly what's going on. Gentrification is it's some shady, it's like a covert, it's really some super like shady covert scheme, bro. Like, and it's really like sket, bro. Like, you really uprooting people from where they live. You first of all, it's a 10, 20-year plan. If we got to say that. It's a 10, 20-year plan. You're driving the property value down, bringing in disenfranchised people, letting them dirty it up, do all this to it so you can buy it back at a cheap price. You know what I mean? It all goes back to money and power and greed. But I just wanted to shine light on it. And I feel like I wanted to do it like that because it was a discovery. You know what I mean? When you listen to it, you're discovering something. Like, as you listen to it, you don't know exactly what I'm talking about yet until you get to, like, you know, the last leg of it. But that discovery aspect is like, Because a person that might agree with gentrification, they can listen to the song, like, be into it, like, yeah, this is dope. Like, what is he talking about? Is he talking about this? And then you be like, oh, it's gentrification.
Yeah, it's a real issue in our
So,
lives right now. You know, even a couple weeks ago, I was driving down downtown a little bit and saw the building of the FC Cincinnati Stadium.
That inspired this track so much.
That is a travesty, honestly.
Man, it's crazy. And it's right there by Taft High School. No students had to deal with construction during the school year. You know, they're right by their football field, and you just coming in and bringing in this, you know what I mean, like this new soccer team that mostly that white people are going to support, so you know you have to put money into it.
And we already know, like, on the outskirts of Cincinnati, there is space, and there's also money.
Yeah.
You know, you go out towards Amberley Village, even out towards Pleasant Ridge, even out past into past Hyde Park and stuff.
Man.
There's space, but the white man doesn't want to do that construction and stuff in his backyard. He's like, oh, we can do it over here. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But when it does matter for lots of people.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And it's been happening. It's been happening for the past 20 years in Cincinnati. You just seeing it just slowly change. And they're making their way up, man. They're making their way up from downtown, up through Clifton, up through Northside, where I grew up at. And so, yeah, bro, it's wild.
Yeah, it's sad to hear.
I don't know what we can do about it, but talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's bringing some. I mean, one thing I was going to talk about is, would you consider your music a form of social activism? And is that a thing you're cognizant of when you're making the music?
I'm aware that my music has some, social, approach to it, but I wouldn't consider. I'm not gonna say that, but I wouldn't say that I go into my music thinking like, okay, how can this be some, like social activism? I'm just trying to. All these stories are like personal stories that I came in contact with, whether it's through my experience or through someone close to me experience, or just talking to someone and gravitating towards their story. So I don't really go into it with the thought of being a social activist, I guess you could say, but I do understand the responsibility that I have with my music, with my voice, and people are, free to interpret it however they want to interpret it, and call it whatever they want to call it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's also some strong messages, and that brings us to the final song, Cant Explain.
Yeah.
And we already talked about the story with the woman suffering from mental health issues, and kind of just putting out a message that it's okay to talk about these things.
Word.
And that it's okay to address it. But then further on, you have a couple bars that are talking about the difference but similarities in the struggles of black men and women. And as we talked about earlier, a lot of hip hop can be found as misogynistic. Why was that a conscious decision to go purposely against the grain and talk about that?
Yeah, with that one, I really just was observing and just looking at America and how, we're facing, as black people, we're facing a whole bunch of stuff. We're facing, like we said, racism, police brutality, gentrification, all kind of stuff. But within that, we are battling each other within our, it's colorism within our race. It's sexism within our race. It's misogyny within our race, you know what I mean? And it's this battle between the black man and black woman that it's been going on for years. And I wanted to touch on that. Like, we're both struggling. We're both dealing with some type of plight. It's different, but that don't mean we have to compare the two, like who has the worst struggle, like, you know what I mean? But I will always say, I have to say this, the black woman is the most disrespected. We know this, the most disrespected person in America. You know what I mean? They're black. On top of being a woman, the intersection there is just, it's crazy in America. But within that, I also want to show like we have to like have some type of unity, because if we're not unified, then that just gives them more fuel to their agenda, to their fire, and it just keeps us, it keeps us where we are. And so I wanted to touch on that with black man being targeted, the light bulb shining on us. Black women is just disregarded, not even thought about, you know what I mean, and just abused and stepped on. So, yeah, that's where that came from.
So, I mean, a couple months before the release of this project, there was a moment with J. Cole on the song Snow on the Bluff.
Yeah.
And I think he was trying to address the same type of issue. I don't think it went very well.
Yeah.
Was maybe that on the back of your mind at all, or what?
No, not at all, because I had those lyrics already before that song released. But I do agree that he was trying to touch on something similar to what I was saying, because, like I said, it's a unity that needs to be looked into between black men and black women. And I don't think his intentions were bad whatsoever. I think the song was dope. Like you said, it probably just didn't go over well, but I don't think he should have been dragged through the dirt the way he was, you know. But that's people's opinion, you know what I mean? We can't really go based off that, but I really think it was he was trying to do something honest there, you know what I mean? And once again, it's that battle within our race that we have to, you know, see his perspective, see her perspective, you know what I mean? So it's just that battle that we're dealing with.
And then, you know, we were just talking about, you know, the role and importance of black women.
Yeah.
Can you talk about a little bit, I know your partner, Erin, has been doing some great things with her book drive and stuff. Yeah. Could you tell us some about that?
Yeah, so she did, over the summer, she started a book drive for black students and getting black literature into schools, public schools mostly, but even like organizations like rec centers, youth organizations. She raised a bunch of money, raised a bunch of books, and what she did was amazing. Like to see like her not even think it was gonna be this big. Like she raised over about, I want to say like $1,500 and got over 1,000 books out to black students. You know what I mean? So it was crazy just to see, like, and I was like super, super proud just seeing how she was moving with it and how she, you know, was investing into it and really just trying to, you know, get those students those books, because it's needed, you know, that black literacy, seeing representation within those schools. It's you in predominantly black schools, and you're not even seeing characters that look like you. So what she did was super important. Shout out to my baby.
Yeah, that's great to encourage literacy in the future generation of storytellers.
Word,
you know,
for
and
sure.
Not even you know, reading just has a lot of benefits in comprehension and intellectual and emotional intelligence.
Right.
And it's very important. So yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah, man, for sure.
So this project, you know, in saying Act 1, what does that entail, and does it mean that there's further parts of it, or how does that work?
Yeah, man, we just getting started with this. Probably for the next year and a half, all you're gonna be seeing is This Is How We Feel content that we're gonna, because it's needed to be said. Like the stuff that I'm talking about, I feel like I need to say it, and I need to make it an enjoyable experience as well. But yeah, Act 2 coming, and Act 3 is coming after that. So it's a 3-act series, and we got more just cool stuff coming with it. Like just really trying to bring this to the world. You know what I mean? Really trying to go as far as we can with it. And it's my first time really like investing a lot into a project and really just focusing on one sole project and not releasing anything else unrelated to this. So you know what I mean? So it's really a journey that we're going on. Mm-hmm.
And are there any, you know, producers or, you know, people that helped you out with the project, collaborators that you'd like to mention or that helped with producing the project? Yeah,
man. Shout out Sal Dolly. He produced 4 joints on there. Shout out High Tech, the legend High Tech. I was blessed, you know, to have co-production from him on trap music. So that's dope. ZG, long-time brother, collaborator on a bunch of things. We got a lot of stuff coming. Consistent down in San Antonio. He's actually the only non-Cincinnati producer on there. And then shout out to Master Matt. We got some stuff coming with Act 2 and Act 3 that I think people going to be excited about. So, yeah, man, it's getting there. Shout out to Courtney, too. Shout out to Courtney Apollo Rome. He produced a bunch of stuff that's coming soon, too.
So where can people find your projects, your music, your social media?
Yeah.
And also, you can say in a second about what you have coming up here in the next month or so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, find it everywhere you listen to music. Just type in KHARI. This is how we feel. It'll pop up on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal. Run up them streams on Tidal, though. I need that. Run up them streams on Tidal. They play a lot. Yeah, man. So it's everywhere. You can find me on social media, Twitter, Instagram. That's really all I mess with, really. Khari BTB, KHARI BTB. And, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, but you had an announcement that was just announced here in the last week or so. Yeah. I thought you wanted to plug it.
Oh, yeah, the Roots video. Mm-hmm. The Roots video is coming next week. We're going to see when it's going to be. But it's in the editing stage, directed by Kevin Garner, shot by Kevin Garner, edited by Kevin Garner, and we going to get to it. So it's lit.
What about, the other news that we had been talking about? Is that up for the public? At the Lateral?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's up for the public. Yeah, we can plug that. We can plug that. I ain't announced it, but yeah, we can plug that. Yeah, just locked in a residency at the Lateral. It's a bar in Norwood, right on Montgomery Avenue. Shout out to the Lateral for having us. It's gonna be BTB Records. So I'm with my team, and every fourth Saturday of the month we're gonna be turning up. Concert day party. That's what we're calling it. Obviously, we want to have a safe, fun time. Social distancing, masks, all that, but we're gonna turn up, man. It's gonna be fun. $10 tickets, $20 at the door. You get a free drink with your ticket, and yeah, man, pop-up shop beforehand. So we got some merch. Gonna be selling some merch and things like that. But yeah,
that's exciting. And then also, I saw on your Instagram that you're selling a package bundle with the first act.
Yeah.
It comes with a shirt, I believe.
Yeah, it comes with a shirt. Comes with a digital lyric booklet, so you get all the lyrics to all the songs.
You didn't bring me a lyric book? Man, this would have made this interview about 20 times easier if I had a lyric book.
Excuse me, we should do a visual lyric book. Right, sure. Like kind of like an audio book or something like that, but with visuals.
That'll be fire.
That'll be great. But
it comes with all that.
Yeah. So go check that out.
I thought I gave it to you though, didn't I?
No, I haven't. I need to order. I haven't put my order in yet, I do need to get the lyric book.
I can send
it to you when there's so many bars that are just easy to miss. Because I'll be stuck thinking about a bar 30 seconds ago, and then there's a whole array of new bars coming at me.
Yeah, and that's why I made it, because I knew people wanted.
Let me also interrupt real quick, just for everybody to know that these flies are not special effects. We are in the middle of nowhere.
They won't let us be great.
And Kansas, we're in Kansas, and we've got a bunch of chickens and goats, and when we, we're under construction here at the Stonelick Studio, and we let the doors open, get some fresh air, some oxygen, and the flies make a home.
Yeah. So I think that's about gonna conclude our interview.
Great.
I want to give a big shout out to Khari for coming, and then Stonelick Studio production, and Tony over here doing the live event production. So
absolutely,
we're super excited about it. And we're looking forward to the next project.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate y'all. We got to do it again.
Great.
Yep.
And I would like to ask everybody to go down in the description, check out everyone's links, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It really means a lot to us.
I think people really need to look into it. Once they start looking into it and really seeing how strong the themes and the storytelling, the wordplay, the production is always there. And the whole concept design, is just strong.
Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, man. You definitely touched on everything that I was trying to, put into it, because I really wanted it to be a discovery though. Like, I didn't want to tell people, this is what this means, this is what that, like, you would get the gist of why I wanted the mass like incorporated, but I didn't want to just outright tell people like, yo, this is.
You got to go send them finding.
Yeah,
one thing we were talking about earlier as a director or a storyteller is that you don't want to just show them where the treasure's at. Exactly. You want to make a good treasure map and give them the insight and encouragement and the resources necessary to find the story for themselves.
Exactly, bro, because that's how we learn. That's how things stick with us. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell people everything. You can give them all the information in the world and it go right over their head because you just told them everything instead of them actually. That's learning. You know what I mean? That's like, you have to discover. You have to figure it out on your own and make it make sense to you, up to your interpretation. Like, certain things that you said was like, I didn't even really have that intention, but I obviously had that subconscious intention to portray that, but you picked up on it, you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of making art, bro. Like, we'll write something, we'll shoot something that's like, we had no intention of that being like shown, but the audience picks up on it.
It ends up happening because when you're so in tune with the story and the entire concept, things start just happening. You might not even make a conscious decision, but it happens because you're so in tune with the whole situation.
Right. That's magic, bro.
I actually wrote this in my notes, is that your music is almost like a mom that is trying to make her kids eat healthy, but like disguises it in unhealthy foods. Like she's throwing vegetables into the sloppy joes and stuff, because that's how my mom used to be. Even sloppy joes and stuff, she was like putting carrots and stuff in there. And I feel like that's how the music is that the music is portrayed as this trap music at times. I mean, there's obviously slower songs and more reflective songs, but it's always disguising like something super strong.
Yeah, that's I love doing that. Like, I love messing with, that duality, like we said. It always goes back to that duality. I always love messing with that and just playing off of that. And cuz I don't like music that is just deep for no reason. You know what I mean? Or it's like just deep and I can't even like bump it or enjoy it. So like, personally, when I go into writing music, I'm like, okay, how can I still touch on something but still make it like, how can I make this a banger? How can I make this like, you could play it in a club, you know what I mean? You could play it in your whip and it bang. Or how can I make this like, if you feeling in a romantic mood, you know what I mean, but still make it to where it's like touching on something different.
Because it's, being an artist, there's a fine line, I'm sure between something that's fire and something that's corny.
Exactly.
And just the way you might manipulate your rhythm or just finding a different puzzle piece that fits there can make things sound a lot more authentic and just not so forced.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of things I come up with is just sometimes, like, honestly, like 50% of my stuff is random, bro. Like, just different flows and cadences I come up with. I just be in the house, like, just clowning, like with Roots. I remember writing Roots, and I was like, I just started dancing. I started hitting the money dance. I started hitting like the Bobby Schmurder.
Got me
I was
feeling
like,
groovy.
Yeah, and I was just like groovy, and I'm like,
groovy.
I'm putting that in there.
And it's a good part to it,
Yeah, it's just I just like having fun too at the same time, man. You gotta have that balance.
All right, we're sitting here with Khari. We're about to jump into his new album, This Is How We Feel, Act 1 Trapped. Going to talk a little about the themes and messages that are present and discuss his process making music. So let's hop right into it. This is Trace. You can catch me on Instagram, Trace937. Check out my website, tracewalkerfilms.com. And we're about to get it popping.